Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, hey. Snow is falling down on old Camden Yards. Birdland's humming softly underneath the stars. Santa left a present with an orange and black glows. Pete Alonso walking in saying, let's start the show. Woo! 5 years, 155, oh my, what a sight. The highest day for a first baseman in history tonight. It's a Christmas miracle in Baltimore town. The polar bear is here and the cheers are raining down. Orioles got their guy and the city's feeling right. Merry Christmas, Birdland, this is our time to shine bright. Hot cocoa in the dugout, the crowd begins to roar. A power bat for Christmas, couldn't ask for more. From New York to the harbor, the headlines start to fly. Alonso in the lineup, oh my, oh my, oh my. 5 years, 155, what a holiday deal. Baltimore believing cause the dream is finally real. It's a Christmas miracle in Baltimore town. The polar bear is swinging and the joy is all around. Orioles got their guy and the season's looking bright. Merry Christmas, Birdland, orange magic in the night. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We freaking did it. Finally got a guy to take the offer. Who better than Polar Bear Pete? Who better? Who better? If you are new here, welcome in to the absolute best Orioles content that you will find in the greater Baltimore area. If you're new here, drop a sub, drop a like on the live here, and let's get after it. Let's get after it tonight. We got a big night. We have Andy Kostka of the Baltimore Banner joining us around 9:15. We've got a lot of things to cover here. A lot of things. Look, listen. The fact that they landed Pete Alonso, in my personal opinion, Pete Alonso was the best guy for the team. The absolute best. Did we want Kyle Schwarber? Yes. Yes, the leadership. He hits a lot of home runs, a good DH and whatnot, on-base percentage. When it came down to it, Pete Alonso fit this lineup the best. And I don't think there was a question about it. What does Pete bring in this team, right? Leadership. I was listening to Buck Showalter talk today. I don't know if anybody caught the 105.7 interview they had with him today with Buck Showalter. But Buck coached this man, and he said, you won't find anyone better than what you'll find out of Pete Alonso. He takes everything serious. He's always the hardest worker in the room. He's a leader in the clubhouse. Guys look up to him. When he speaks, people stop and listen. And can't we all sit here and agree that this team needed that for how many years now? They've had some veteran guys, but have they ever had a guy that when he spoke, everyone stopped and listened? I don't think they did. I don't. Pete is going to bring a lot to this lineup. He's going to, bring protection to Gunnar Henderson. He'll obviously bring protection to Taylor Ward, whether he's in front or behind. He will teach valuable lessons to Samuel Basallo, whether that be at first base or in the lineup somewhere. Getting this guy in here with this core of players and this coaching staff, being able to help break down film and look at pitcher tendencies and whatnot. I don't think, outside of Kyle Schwarber, I don't think you could have asked for a better player. And listen, what reports say or not, Pete Alonso chose the Baltimore Orioles. So it's something to be excited about. The Red Sox offer was damn close. And Pete and Scott Boras chose Baltimore. Now, does that bode well for the future with Scott Boras in Baltimore? I think it definitely opened the eyes a little bit. Let's look at some of Pete's career numbers, right? 253 average, 264 home runs, 712 RBIs, a 341 OBP, a 516 slugging, and an 857 OPS. Complete masher at the plate at times. Now, has he had some down years? Sure he has. What hitter in this league hasn't? A good friend of mine, Sean, Charm City Entertainment here, asked me before I went live here today, within this 5-year period, does Pete Alonso break Chris Davis's 53 home run record? I think it would be kind of hard, but I think if there's a guy to chase it, it's Polar Bear. There's no questions asked. It would be Polar Bear. Could Kyle have done it here, Kyle Schwarber? Maybe, but I don't think it matters. We got the guy that fit the lineup the best. And one thing that we had the struggles with the most this year was hitting with runners in scoring position. I mean, how many times do we see our guys, just not come through? Look, a 234 average as a team, a 25% K rate, 308 on base percentage, a 275 BPAP, and a 28.4% whiff rate. Now, we all know it, right? I mean, we all complained about it almost every single night. This team struggled with runners in scoring position. And, could Taylor Ward have provided some pop to that? Yeah, he was going to do that. He had a guy driven 100 RBIs last year, right? And I'm not saying that everybody on our team was bad. For the time that Jordan Westberg played, he had exceptional numbers with runners in scoring position, which I think surprises probably nobody. Everybody around this team and all of our fan base, we all know what Jordan Westberg is capable of. At this point, it's just keeping the guy on the field from the freak injuries. Gunnar Henderson also had a pretty fantastic year last year with runners in scoring position. Where we lacked the most, right? These guys, they made their hits, but the problem was we just didn't get enough opportunities with runners in scoring position. I think our leader was maybe 54 RBIs total with runners in scoring position. It was rough. And Pete Alonso, what did he do best this year? Well, that came with runners in scoring position. He was an animal. And you can see by some of these numbers here, with runners in scoring position, he hit 309, had 14 home runs, 87 RBIs, 29 walks to just 47 strikeouts. Now, for a guy that people say strikes out a ton, well, he sure as hell doesn't do it with runners in scoring position. And we'll go over his career numbers here in just a second. 634 slugging and a 1,035 OPS. Again, this is with runners in scoring position. It's incredible what he's done. In his career, what has Pete Alonso done with runners in scoring position? Well, it ain't been a whole lot different than what he just did in 2025. I mean, he's raked the 266 average, 76 home runs, 440 RBIs, 174 walks to just 267 strikeouts. And you're talking about a guy who's played, 1,000 games, pretty close to 1,000 games, and he's just got 267 strikeouts with runners in scoring position. So if he's striking out with nobody on base, who cares? That means he's going for it. But what I'm seeing is a guy who absolutely locks in when it matters most. And he is a menace to pitchers on the mound. 554 slugging and a 933 OPS career with runners in scoring position. Incredible. I think there's not much more that this team could have asked for, honestly. And to be able to land the deal that we did, I thought was pretty good. Did they maybe overpay? I don't think so. I was looking at Spot Rack earlier, which is typically where a lot of people go and get their market value. Now, his market value, I think, was 4 for 115, I think it was. But when you looked at his comps, the comps are basically what certain players got that were kind of production-wise to him the 2 years prior to them signing, basically a bunch of different stat-wise. But when you added all the comps up, their projected market value and Pete. So what they do is they take Pete and then they match everything with the comps and they break it down. The comp value for Pete Alonso was 6 years, $187 million. 172, I'm sorry. 6 years, $172 million. So when you look at it, did the Orioles really overpay? Or did they maybe get a fairly decent value that just outbid somebody else? Time's going to tell. If he struggles, who cares? Because the Orioles finally paid somebody. Now, is it going to suck that he struggles? Yeah, sure, obviously. I'm not going to downplay that at all. But the fact is, they got somebody to agree to their offer. And if he struggles a little bit, you know what? Tyler O'Neill was a stepping stone to show people that you were willing to spend money, didn't matter who it was. This is obviously much larger than a stepping stone, right? This is almost peak of the mountain. Right? This is one of the most prolific runners in scoring position power hitters in the game, and you convince him to sign here, right? Now, if you were a pitcher wouldn't you want a bunch of offense? Wouldn't that make some guys more inclined to want to come here? I think so. So we look at Pete last year with runners in score position, right? He hit 309. Only 2 guys, like I said, did better than that. That was Jordan Westburg and Gunnar Henderson. Now Westburg probably really didn't qualify, but I put him up there anyway. So 14 home runs. 7th was the Orioles' best. So you're getting some pop there. And remember I said their team best was 54 RBIs with runners in scoring position? And Pete had 87. I didn't look at walks and stuff. It's too much to put on here. A 634 slugging with runners in scoring position, just Gunnar Henderson was better. And a 1,035 OPS. I said 2 guys are better. Again, Jordan Westbrook probably doesn't qualify for this, but Gunnar Henderson was better at that point. Now, what does this do to everybody around him? Right? So a lot of weight was on Gunnar Henderson last year, kind of by himself in that 3-hole. This team has really struggled for years to find a consistent 3 and 4 hitter. Now, Santander was pretty good in his role, but like guys went after Gunnar, even with Santander behind him. Now it's like you got to be a little bit more careful with Gunnar Henderson hitting in front of Pete Alonso, right? If you walk him, because Gunnar's got a good eye. It's not like he's just going to go up there and just wail at everything. He does sometimes, but I mean, that's baseball. But a projected lineup here. So let's go back to this. So this is a projected lineup. Holiday, Westberg, Henderson, Alonso, Ward, Beavers, Rutschman, Cowser, and Basayo. Now, I found this, I think it was from MLB.com or somebody like that, and I made this graphic myself here. I don't like it, to be completely honest with you, and this is what I would change myself. I would go with Beavers, Westberg, Henderson, Alonso, Ward, Basayo, Rutschman, Cowser, Holiday. And think about this for a minute, right? Jordan Westberg's already probably one of your, we'll say Jordan Westberg's probably your most consistent hitter that you have. With runners in score position, putting the bat on the ball. Great all-around hitter, right? So Beavers, I think we saw enough last year to say that he's going to be, he deserves a shot, right? Deserves a shot. But you got that kind of death row there of Westberg, Henderson, Alonso, and Ward, and Basayo. Now, you can interchange any of those guys you want. And a couple times in my mind, I even had Ward hitting in the 2-hole. But I feel like Westberg's probably too good there. But think about this for a minute. You got to go at Jordan Westberg because you don't want Jordan Westberg, who's actually pretty fast, not to be on base in front of Gunnar Henderson. No, so then you got to go at Gunnar Henderson because, again, Gunnar Henderson's pretty freaking fast. You don't want him on base in front of Pete Alonso. So what do? You got to get ahead with the fastball. What did Gunnar Henderson like to do a lot in 24? They like to hit a lot of first pitch fastballs out. That's going to be fun. Now, Pete Alonso. Is Taylor Ward protection for Pete Alonso? I don't know if I would say protection, but I would still say a good enough hitter that if he got on with 2 or 3 guys ahead of him, that he could drive the ball out of the ballpark. So there's a lot to like here. And Basayo, I think, has got some things he's got to learn a little bit. So him being down in that part of the level there, or the lineup, I think is okay. Rutschman, listen, there's no pressure on him down that low at all. Go and just play baseball down there. We know you're a good hitter when you figure it out. We've seen you do it. Go down there and chill for a little bit. Again, another pretty decent hitter. Now, Cowser and Holiday, 2 lefties in a row at the end. Well, technically, you probably could go. It depends on who you face. This is another reason I don't understand this lineup. It's going to be hard to figure out here, but you potentially could have 5 lefties in a row here between Basayo, Rutschman, Cowser, Holiday, Beavers. So that's where I would maybe split Ward and Westberg and something like that. But a lot of things are hard to kind of figure out. But when you go back and look at this, like, you're elevating everybody else around you. And what's there to complain about, right? Like, there's some really good pitching in the AL East. like some really good pitching. And I'm excited to see what Pete does for Rutschman. And yeah, even Ward. I mean, like, now did Ward have a little bit of protection with him in LA? I mean, a little bit. I mean, Joe Adele hit 30 some home runs. Mike Trout hit in front of them, but it's different when you're protecting Pete Alonso. You know, like, and Pete's got a good eye. You know, Pete's not, does he strike out? Sure, he does. We're not going to sugarcoat that, but Pete is really good at drawing walks too. And if you get Gunnar Henderson on and then Pete Alonso, now Pete is a little bit slower, but Taylor Ward can drive these guys in. It's not out of the question to think that your 3, 4, and 5 hitters could all have 80 RBIs this year if the offense does what it's supposed to. Now, I believe that they're going to, because I do have confidence in Donnie Ecker and Dustin Lin. And we can kind of even get into like the vibes of the clubhouse a little bit. Like, I think just everything is going to feel a little bit better. A little bit. They're going to play loose. They're going to play baseball now. They're going to be dudes again. It's not going to be that uptight and I got to do this because, you know, everybody's counting on me kind of feeling that weight on your shoulders in the box. No, like I think Craig is going to have these guys remembering that baseball is hard and just go out and have fun, because you kind of suck when you don't have fun. So there's a lot to like here. Hold on, I'm sending Andy a message here. To touch on that, though, again, if you guys are new here and you like what you see, again, this is one of the best spots that you can find some Orioles content and whatnot. Drop a sub button over here on YouTube. If you are over on Twitter and you want to jump over to YouTube, go ahead and please do that. It's the same name, Pigtown Sports. Drop a like, sub, you know, all that definitely helps out. What we can do now is talk about some rumors. And I'm going to try to get to most of your guys' comments. Today's going to be a little bit different because Andy's coming on, but we will try to go through and get to some of your comments. But let's talk about some rumors, because the Orioles are still in on some guys. And those being Luke Weaver, Michael King, Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, Mackenzie Gore, Kyle Tucker, and Ketel Marte. And to kind of lead into that, and we'll bring in Andy because Andy covers the Orioles and whatnot. He's going to be able to tell us exactly what he's hearing and what these guys and what kind of values that we could get out of some of these players and what level Pete Alonso brings the Orioles. So we'll bring in Andy and we'll get to talking about some stuff. Andy, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you? Yeah,
Good,
sorry
how you
about
Did we
we'll
lose
make
you?
it work.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I think
you got me all right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
So what's going on? So take me through some of the rumors that you're still hearing after Alonso signing. Are they in on any starting pitching? Are they in on any bullpen? I mean, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I still expect one or two bullpen additions, and I imagine they'll get a couple of those minor league with the spring training invite for the bullpen. See what you have. That's pretty standard. Every team does it to just fill out the bullpen. But I do expect bullpen additions at this point. And yeah, Baltimore is still aggressive. I mean, this, as I'm sure you've heard too, I mean, this by no means rules them out for any of the high-end starting pitching, and trade market is heating up pretty big time. So a lot of irons in the fire. And I reported today, that Baltimore is still interested in Ranger Suarez and others. So it's definitely an interesting couple of days we've had in Orlando, and it's going to be a busy offseason for Baltimore because Michael Elias seems to be pretty hell-bent on raising the floor of this team.
Now, I'm glad you said that. Do you feel like there's been a shift? I don't want to say an attitude, but like maybe direction of how they've attacked things from the past?
It's interesting. So I would say there is a recognition that some of the issues that occurred in 2025 were unlucky, right? You have injuries, you have regression from players that you probably don't expect. But some of the issues were, front office related. They didn't maybe account for the rotation needing a big addition the way they probably did. They didn't necessarily add to the lineup the way they probably should have. And obviously they went out and got Tyler O'Neill thinking that it would be a big time addition. It didn't work out. So I think this is a recognition from Orioles front office that they needed to seriously address a couple holes in this lineup and in the rotation that's still to come. That's obviously a big thing they need to do. And so yeah, I would say there's urgency. There is. They don't like the word pressure, but I would say there is a little pressure. I mean, if you take a step back the way Baltimore did, and it was a disappointing 2025 season. You really can't afford another one of those because the window is really not as large as people like to think it is, because it will be difficult to keep all of these players. I know that the checkbook seems to be open. They just handed $155 million to Pete Alonso. I mean, that's very impressive. It's a good sign, but it's still going to be challenging to keep some of these homegrown stars in Baltimore. So it's a win now kind of situation, and it looks like they're acting like a win now team.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you brought up the word window getting smaller. At this point, I think it's maybe like a crawl space window. There's little basement windows, but it's still open. There's still a way in, there's still a way out. So look, I was always told when I was playing, as long as there's a jersey on your back, you still have a chance in life. So if that window, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, if it's still open at any point, there's still a chance. And they recognize that and they're going after it, which is great. I do want to touch on the bullpen a little bit because I've went down to Bowie myself, or Chesapeake, sorry about that, and I've watched some of these guys, and I like a lot of them. At what point, and I also feel like at 2024, I think we got in a little bit of trouble not having a bullpen that really had options to send guys up and down when they was tired. I guess a two-part question. Question one would be, do you see them keeping guys for that reason, that maybe they don't go and sign another guy? And then part two, if they do sign two more starting pitchers or whatnot, we're close to seeing guys like Gibson and Ferret and Levi Wells. Like, do you see them making their jumps in the bullpen to start out?
Yeah, I will. I'll start with the first part of that. Absolutely. I think Baltimore recognizes that the ability to option relievers is incredibly important. And I know like the Norfolk shuttle is not fun for the relievers that are on it, but they had too many guys with too few options last year and even 2024, where, if they have Grant Wolfram, in the mix this year, some other guys that featured at the end of 2025, if they have the ability to stick in the 2026 bullpen and bring value, even if it is, as a mop-up duty guy or as a middle reliever. They don't need, Baltimore went out and got Helsley for a reason, right? They don't need Grant Wolfram to be the closer tomorrow. Like that's okay. You don't need that.
Right.
But having that optionability, right, helps the bullpen immensely, because if you have a big game where starting pitcher goes 2 innings and you roll through, if you roll through the bullpen, you need to option. You need to be able to option relievers. So that is a number one thing I would agree with you is that optionability in the bullpen is going to be a really important factor. Number two, I would think that I will admit, I kind of forget question number two. Can you run it by me again? I apologize.
When would we see like guys like Trey Gibson and Ferret or even Levi Wells? Like, would the bullpen be their stepping stone this year?
Oh, 100%. I do see guys like that, and Brandon Young, and some of those fringe starters that Baltimore has. Heck, Tyler Wells might be in the bullpen. So I do think we will see guys get their opportunity in the bullpen. Trey Gibson is a big name in there. A lot of people like Michael Ferret as a starter, but I would not be shocked if he gets that first opportunity as a reliever. especially if you could cover 2 or 3 innings and then
Right.
get optioned. If you need a guy, to be an opener for a game, a 27th man, I imagine that he would kind of get brought into that situation. So, man, probably about midway through the season, I think they'd be ready. I mean, they made AAA, last year, so give them a little bit of seasoning, and then they'd probably be in that bullpen mix. I mean, I know Mike Elias liked what he saw in a lot of the relievers that Baltimore kind of tested out at the end of last year. Doesn't mean all of them are going to stick. Doesn't mean that all of them are going to be successes. If they do get an opportunity, but definitely will get opportunities. However, I do see, 1 or 2 external additions to the bullpen still to give them a little bit more experience and depth in that regard.
Do you see them going like a high dollar guy like Luke Weaver or Fairbanks or?
I would. There's always a possibility, right? Fairbanks, the familiarity in division, I think they really like what he brings. Obviously, there was that hilarious, kiss the fan in the Lego comment was fantastic, and he meant that wholeheartedly as like, I like those guys.
Yeah.
So it truly was, that there's no bad blood there, 100%. So I wouldn't be shocked if they were involved in a Pete Fairbanks. I do think there would be a little bit more, especially because they got Pete Alonso. They are interested in multiple starting pitchers. I'd imagine one of the high level guys via free agency, maybe one via trade. That would bring in perhaps a Danny Coulomb on a 1-year deal, and you say, let's see, if he has another 40 innings under that belt as a 36-year-old. And you only need to pay, I'm just estimating here, $4 million in this day and age for a pretty reliable lefty out of the pen, crafty lefty with a lot of experience. You can throw him in a high leverage spot if you need him to, but probably a middle reliever. That would make a lot of sense as well. So I would think it'd probably be more on the 1-year side for the relievers they're going to bring in, but never say never, because they've surprised people so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really realize either that most of the bullpen is kind of constructed of 1-year deals typically. So if they do that, it's more than fine. Even if it is, a high dollar guy for 1 year, it's still fine. What do you give me your biggest surprise this year? Who do you think is going to make that big jump?
In terms of current Orioles making the big jump?
Yeah.
I really think Jackson Holiday is going to be what people thought he was going to be. And I don't necessarily mean like he's going to hit 40 home runs. Like, that's not, you don't need him to be that. I mean, you signed other guys to be that.
Yeah.
But I do think at a certain point, we saw him lead off so much. I probably imagine him in the 9 hole to begin the year, with just the way this lineup is looking right now. He put in a lot of work at second base, and I know it was. I was as critical as anyone as to some of the difficulties he had at second base, especially moving to his right, up the middle balls, backhand balls of the middle. Jackson really struggled. But I do expect. He literally just turned like 6 days ago 22.
Yeah.
This is a young guy, and I do. There were a lot of signs of like, wow, if he can put it together and be a line drive slap hitter with a better steal rating, he got caught way too many times, but it was good to have him practice in a lost 25 season. Yeah. If he can do better in that regard, I think he is going to have a major improvement in 2026. I imagine, there's a lot of rebound candidates, right? Like, Adley is Adley Rutschman going to have a 600 some OPS next year? He better not. He's a center of his team. If his team is going to be good, you need Adley Rutschman to probably hit 750, right? Like a 750 OPS from a pretty good defensive catcher, you can live with that. And that is a rebound from where he was in 2025. Colton Cowser, if he looks anything like his rookie year, which is, some pop, not a great average, but, pop and good defensive metrics, Granted, he's going to be probably adjusting to center field, so that's going to be a challenge. Again, another guy that you feel like could probably improve. So all of that is to say there are many people to pick for that question. I do think Holiday has a very bright future. The folks that are down on him, I understand, the sky high expectations that were placed on Jackson as a number one pick, and his dad was a 7-time All-Star, and he made the big leagues pretty promptly, a year and a half or so after he was drafted. All of that factors into high expectations and everything like that. But this is not like, I always like to point out, and like this, like you played baseball, like development is not linear. It's like it's not always pretty. People make jumps and then they regress and they take their lumps, and then after taking those lumps, they move. They're like, oh, I figured it out. I got beat up, and now I know exactly what pitchers did to get me out so much last year, and I'm going to improve on it. I'm going to hit the fastball and not swing crazily against left on left sliders. Like, sure, if Jackson does that, he's going to be great. And so you don't need him to be a superstar as a 22-year-old. Just continue to develop and don't put pressure on yourself, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think my honest opinion is when Jackson came up, Jackson Merrill came up, Jackson Churio came up, James Wood came up, and you had this crop of 21-year-olds that freakishly performed exceptionally well in the big leagues, which I don't think we may see again for years, right? And we definitely didn't see it, I would say maybe 20, 30 years prior, that many 21-year-olds figuring it out at the same time. And our Jackson obviously just wasn't up to their par, and I think he caught a lot of criticism for that. But I'm with you. I think, he's still young and not everybody develops at the same pace. You could take off. I mean, did Jose Bautista develop his first, 3 teams? Like sometimes it just takes that one guy, and that one guy could be Dustin Lin for all we know, right? That could just pull that little thing out of him. And we saw it with Ryan O'Hearn. I mean, his career was on the downturn. He'd come here, and the hitting coaches here found something in him. So I'm with you. I mean, he definitely could skyrocket this year.
Absolutely. It is way too early to be down on Jackson. He's a super young guy. So we'll see how it develops. Obviously, you cannot go into 2026 saying, yeah, Jackson's going to have an all-star season. That would be too much, but an improvement on where he was in 2025, I would see as a pretty safe guess.
Do you see Alonso taking a ton of pressure off of almost everyone, and even Ward too, honestly, just to relax and not feel like you have to just drive in 7 runs in your one at bat right there? Like, just, okay, now I can just get on and I can just go back to playing baseball.
This is speculation on my part, but the happiest person about the Pete Alonso signing is Gunnar Henderson, because normally Gunnar he was under so much pressure in 2025 to be the guy.
Yep.
And to drive in 15 runs every single time he gets to the plate. And he would say himself, I mean, I would talk to him after games, and he would say, like, yeah, I was putting pressure on myself. Like, that was a constant refrain of Gunnar being such a competitor, great player, great future. He tried to do a lot, and we saw it. We saw it with the frustration. I think having the protection of Pete Alonso, and I don't know exactly what the lineup looks like. I could see Gunnar at the 3 hole and Pete Alonso with the 4. I could see Gunnar leading off and Pete Alonso with the 2. I get a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But having a Pete Alonso in the lineup, especially right after him, pitchers are going to be wary that, okay, we cannot pitch around Gunnar, because what if we walk Gunnar and then there's now a guy on first and Pete Alonso's going to hit a 2-run shot.
Maybe second when he steals.
Correct. I mean, the way he ran in September was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you add that together, and I think Gunnar's probably the happiest dude right now, because this is a big bat that is going to command a lot of attention from pitching staffs. But it goes obviously beyond that. You add Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso. Well, I mean, funnily enough, Pete has better career numbers against righties, but it's
Yeah.
not like he's a slouch against lefties. I think a 835 career OPS against lefties. When you add Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso to a lineup, I mean, Baltimore got carved up by lefties a lot. And now we're looking at a lineup with those two in it. And we'll see if Kobe Mayo is a part of the future or not. That's another right-handed bat. We'll see if Tyler O'Neill is healthy and capable of putting together a good season. That's another right-handed bat. This is a lineup that could be a lot better against southpaws. And that is, again, another major benefit, because it almost felt like it's funny. It almost felt like voodoo. Like there was a crafty lefty on the mound who would just look like a Cy Young candidate every time against the Orioles. Yeah. And, heck, you add a couple big righties to the mix that are pretty platoon neutral in Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso. They're not like, obviously Pete Alonso is technically better against right on right. Taylor Ward, there's not a huge drop off. You have to like that aspect as well, the fact that they provide cover for the lineup against lefties. But again, getting back to the original point, it's a massive benefit for this lineup, the fact that they have somebody that can kind of be the heartbeat of a lineup a little bit. It takes a little bit of pressure off some of the young guys.
Yeah. Is there ever a scenario that you think now, I mean, Jeremiah Jackson's played, I think, 19 games in center field in his career. Is there ever a time where you think we could see an all right-handed outfielder or outfield against maybe like a Crochet or Skubal if he stays in Detroit, where Jackson's in center field and then you got Tyler O'Neill and Taylor Ward in right and left?
I'll be honest. I don't see Jeremiah Jackson playing center field one inning for this team. I'll be honest.
No? Okay.
But I will say, I mean, there's Leody Taveras for a reason, right? And he's a switch hitter.
I forgot about him.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, yeah, it was a pretty low end signing comparably. Leody could be fourth or fifth outfielder on the roster, switch hitter. I know the offensive numbers aren't great, but he does give you an option in all three spots, especially defensively. I mean,
yeah.
Definitely the defensive ability is good, and he could be a late game defensive replacement if you want to take out Tyler O'Neill, or heck, if you want to take Colton Cowser out of center late in the game and put Leody in center and move Colton to a corner. You can do that, and that's a great flexibility to have. He might be a complete non-factor. I mean, there's entirely possibility that he doesn't really play for the Orioles and he gets, DFA'd before, spring training finishes. Right. We'll see. But there is, theoretically, if he is on the roster and Baltimore wanted a full right-handed lineup, they could do it. And, Jeremiah Jackson, I think, will be given an opportunity to be kind of a utility man. Defensively, a little bit of room for improvement. He's young, he's
like 25 or something.
He's 25. That was his first taste of major league action. So, and his first taste of major league action, and Jeremiah was thrown into right field, right? So that was incredibly, props to him for dealing with not only a debut but a position he has rarely played. He did well last year, and I think he made an impression on the coaching staff. Obviously,
fan base too.
They turned over. The fan base. They turned over a lot of the coaching staff, but Buck Britton's still around, and the front office is definitely liked what they saw from Jeremiah Jackson. So I think he will have an opportunity to be kind of that right-handed bench bat who can play third, second, corner, outfield if you need him to. I don't think they would put him in center, but I've been wrong many times in my life.
Are you able to see that comment?
No.
Oh, it says, Andy's just like me. Can't stop smiling right now. I figured you enjoy that. That came from YouTube.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah. Have you had a chance to chat with the new coaches at all?
Yeah. I have talked with Craig Albernaz a lot. Joe Singley.
That's my guy.
Good. He's a cool guy. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to catch up with the hitting coaches yet. That'll be a Sarasota thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I'm blanking on obviously the holdovers. Drew French, Mitch Plasmeyer. I will say about Albernaz, incredibly energetic,
Yeah.
and he can dole out like when he is comfortable in a situation, it because he's talking trash,
Right.
and he is giving it, and he expects you to give it right back.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I've enjoyed about him. And I think there's a reason why Baltimore was so fascinated in bringing him aboard. And obviously, you work with, Stephen Vogt, you have a good mind. Like those are like on paper, the resume paper stuff
Yeah.
made sense. He has a good resume, but then you meet Craig Albernaz in person and you're like, this guy is hilarious. And I think he has the kind of personality that could really mesh a clubhouse together and make them loose and fun. Singley is, I've only met him in passing this far, but 28 years old or thereabout. Really great catching mind defensively. That's it's a good addition because you want Samuel Basayo to grow into a good receiver of the ball and a good game caller. Adley has grown already in those areas, but there's always room to continue growing. Now you have Hank Conger, Craig Albernaz, and Joe Singley. Those are three really good catching instructors on staff that you can look at and feel really good about. And I think right, catchers are kind of the backbone of a team in a lot of ways, and so having a focus on instructing catchers is going to be a good thing. And if Baltimore is lucky, they won't have 11 catchers next year. They won't have a catching crisis like they did in 2025. But it's I think a prudent thing. And of course, catchers make good coaches generally because they have experience working with pitching staffs and lineups.
Right.
They kind of they go all around the clubhouse. They know everybody, so they tend to have the coaching pedigree.
Yeah. Do you see any instance where we keep 3 catchers to start the season?
I think there will be multiple times during the year where Baltimore will have 3 catchers. I don't think, especially with the way, generally, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but especially with the way April schedules generally work when there are built-in off days because of rain.
Yeah.
I think there are enough built-in off days early that you only need 2 catchers and you can rotate and you don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
But I imagine at a certain point in the year, there will be an optionable catcher, a la Maverick Henley, somebody like that who will be kind of in the mix. But I think they will be okay with 2 catchers for a lot of it. It's of course a risk, right? If you need to pinch hit a guy, if you have a guy DHing, if like Adley is catching and Basayo's DHing and suddenly, Adley gets a ball off the hand, like that's a concern. And, heck, I actually asked Taylor Ward, I was like, it's been a while since you caught games, but do you have that in your back pocket? And he said, that he has catching in his back pocket if he's ever called upon. So he can be the emergency catcher. He grew up catching. So
right. He was drafted as a catcher.
Right. So worst case scenario, throw Taylor Ward behind there. I don't know. I don't know how it would look, but like worst case scenario, you have an option.
He could catch the ball. he can finish the game, catch the ball. Hopefully, he may not be able to steal a couple strikes, but he'll catch the ball.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What do you who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise on the mound for what they have right now?
I think we are going to be surprised again by Dean Kramer. And I say that because he is frequently an afterthought in when people think of the rotation. He's, a guy that they throw in as a 5. Look at his last, several years. He's been one of Baltimore's most reliable pitchers. And I'm not saying he's going to be a 3 ERA, 190 inning guy, but he eats innings and he'll probably be around a little bit under a 4, is a good year for him. And that, just the stability of having somebody like that at the back end of a rotation who, is a workhorse and is going to be able to throw 170 innings, 180 innings, that's a major plus to be able to write in with pen. And in this day and age, there's very few guys like that. And the fact he's been under team control and, as team, the price, for what he brings value wise, I do think Dean Kramer will continue to be a big part of this rotation. Not a top end guy naturally. That's fine. But he really stabilizes things. He also grew. Dean grew as a leader down the stretch after the trade deadline. There was a leadership void in the clubhouse, and Dean is not maybe a traditional rah guy, but we did see him step out of that shell a lot, and especially with the pitchers and Keegan Aiken too. They were big talkers for that pitching staff and rallied the troops. And so, yeah, I do think Dean is a big part of this rotation and will continue to be so. He's not the flashiest. He's not going to, make the fan base, super excited on December 10th, thinking, of him in the rotation. But hey, he's been reliable the past couple of years, and he's going to continue that.
Let's play hypotheticals.
Love it.
What does this team look like for one, and do for two, if Kyle Tucker is a real thing? And I say that, like, what do you do with the 19 outfielders that you already have?
Well, geez, if they went out and got Kyle Tucker, which, number one, actually, let me rewind a second. Think about the Texas Rangers like 3 or 4 years ago, and they spent casually $500 million in free agency, and they won a title, and now they're kind of in a rebuild, but they won a title, and they went all in an offseason and really spent like crazy. Maybe Baltimore could do that, and you could spend like crazy and put the chips all in and hope you win a title, and then it's worth a little bit of a rebuild after that. That's kind of what we're seeing in Texas. But Kyle Tucker, in my personal opinion, I would think I would be incredibly surprised if Baltimore landed Tucker. I think the Mets, the Blue Jays would probably be the two likeliest at this exact moment, but things change. But hypothetically, you asked me hypothetically, so let's play that Kyle Tucker is a Baltimore Oriole. You say, okay, you're going to trade Dylan Beavers and have to be okay with that. Even if he goes on a Kyle Stowers-esque run and becomes an all-star, you're going to have to live with that. I will say Dylan Beavers is of interest of a lot of teams, in trade discussions. So there's a potential that, his name comes up a lot in trade discussions. So I wouldn't be shocked if, they go after a really coveted arm that it might have to include a Dylan Beavers. So you would have to trade a lot of guys, and Beavers and Cowser would probably be among them. And then you have to figure out center field without Cowser. You might have to figure out center field right now, even, even with Cowser, if you don't necessarily believe in him being an everyday center fielder. I guess that would be hard for me to fathom them also getting Kyle Tucker, but never say never, I suppose. And it would just lead to a lot of trades, I would say. Even getting Pete Alonso. I mean, it felt like this Pete Alonso deal is kind of the first of a series of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's probably a trade coming, for a starting pitcher. You can expect, them obviously to add to the bullpen. So this is just kind of the first of multiple deals that are probably going to happen between now and February 12th when pitchers and catchers show up in Sarasota.
Yeah.
What do you think they do? Like, if they got Kyle Tucker, what would you do?
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
that would obviously
listen, I'd already be dancing in the middle of the street that for step one, I mean, you're talking about one of probably the most feared offenses in the AL at that point. But I mean, yeah, you got to figure out, obviously Ward's playing left. Tucker has to play right. If you are lucky enough to keep Beavers, like, do you try to force him to play center field? And then try to flip Cowser, or do you just trade Beavers for the arm and roll with Cowser? Like you said, at that point, you're likely going to run into a Kyle Stowers situation, and it'd probably upset the fans. But I mean, if you get Kyle Tucker and he comes here and he throws up a plus 820 OPS for like the next 6 years, like, are you really going to complain? It sucks, but those are the things that you have to do sometimes to win now. But yeah, I mean, you want to talk about elevating an offense? Good Lord. At that point, you could probably lead Gunnar off again at that point and have Tucker hit 2 and then Alonso at 3 and Ward at 4. I mean, Ward's probably not an ideal 4, but at that point, like, does it even matter if you got those 3 guys at the top? Because you could still probably put Basayo behind Ward. I mean, so he's still a little protected. So that'd be pretty fun. Have you heard anything? And I keep seeing it come up, and I really don't understand why, but I'm not going to scoff at it. What is the whole Ketel Marte stuff? And not even just if he would come to Baltimore, but just in general, what is going on with Ketel Marte?
Yeah, there was a part of me that actually thought today that almost I was kind of getting, thinking about Ketel Marte and what that could look like if Baltimore got into the mix for him. He did play some center field as recently as 2021. Granted, he's 32. He has had some injuries. I don't think he would probably be the most ideal center fielder. However, if Mike Elias really wants to cook something special, throw Ketel Marte in center and see what happens. Or you include, Jackson Holiday in a trade for Terry Skubal and say, all right, then we're going to go get Ketel Marte to play second. That's all speculation. I have no sources on that.
Right.
None of that is reality. But it is interesting to consider because the Ketel Marte thing is a little confusing because he has been such a important piece of that Diamondbacks offense. And it doesn't feel like the Diamondbacks necessarily need to move on from him. So unfortunately, I'm not an authority on what's going on behind the scenes in that department. It is interesting though, because I think a lot of teams rightfully are interested in Ketel Marte, especially if they could play him at second base.
Yeah.
With maybe a little bit of DH mixed in there. But I was thinking, like, could he even be, a fit in Baltimore? And I mean, heck, if they really wanted to get crazy with it and throw him in center, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. I did see a comment just now about throwing Jackson Holiday in center field. That's something I have been floating for a while. And I know other people have as well. The downsides to that are his arm would be worse than Cedric Mullins' arm. Statistically. Yeah, I was looking in StatCast. I will say obviously the the velocity of throws from second base, are naturally going to be slower than any velocity of a center fielder. But Jackson's throwing about 88 miles per hour at his peak from second, which just doesn't necessarily translate to the outfield, probably. So I don't think Jackson's arm is good enough for center field. The other thing is, I straight up asked Michael Elias about this. I said, would you consider moving Jordan Westberg or Jackson Holliday to the outfield? Especially for a little bit there, I was thinking, wow, like I wonder if Jordan, who is sneaky fast, Westberg,
second fastest on the team, right?
Yeah, he is incredibly fast. And so I was like kind of pondering. I was like, I wonder if Jordan could play center. Mike Elias said they are at this exact moment not considering it. Doesn't mean he was like, sure, like everything under the sun pops into their heads at a certain point. And maybe if they go out and sign Alex Bregman, which they're not going to, like, that doesn't seem like an area they're going to go in. If they did and wanted him at third, you could put one of the other guys in center, I suppose, with Kowser in a corner. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't see it happening. I have enjoyed the idea, just like I've enjoyed the idea of CJ Abrams in center field for the Nationals, and maybe for a different team if he gets traded. I've long
give
thought
that any thought at all, but that's a good one.
CJ has an incredible arm. It is part of the reason, and he has great speed. Sometimes he doesn't make the greatest read on what hop to take at shortstop, which is why throwing him in center with the speed he has, the range he has, the arm he has, not having to deal with short hops all the time, maybe it's a great move. But CJ could be a great center shortstop as well. I mean, I think highly of CJ Abrams as a player. So that's completely off topic. I'm sorry. But I'm just
honestly
rambling.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options that these guys could go, which is, I mean, unfamiliar territory with us, honestly. We've always had these pipe dreams, but like to see one of them finally come to reality this year is how's this thinking a whole bunch of crazy crap at this point. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. So, it's kind of fun to like dream about this stuff, and even as a writer like yourself, like it gives you a slew of things to write about that us as fans would be ideal for us to read. So, I mean, it's cool all in that, but I appreciate you coming on tonight and chatting through some of the stuff with us. I mean, I'm sure the viewers appreciate it as well. I can tell you from my experience and the people that are in my chat routinely, you are our favorite. We enjoy everything that you put out. So thank you again. And I'm sure everybody here would also thank you as well if they could type it out. But we'll definitely have to get you on again and chat some more and talk about other stuff. But for now, I do appreciate you hopping in, and we'll catch you around another time.
Yeah, of course,
let me know
man.
if you ever have time, and we'll squeeze you in one night.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, and you know where to find me. So
Definitely.
I'll make sure I fit in time this off season. We might have plenty to talk about. You never know. So
might have more to talk about tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah. Question this guy sent about what number Alonso wears. It can't be 20, right? Because of Frank. So maybe 21. We'll find out. Probably at his introductory press conference at the end of this week or early next week, whenever it is scheduled. He will put on a jersey, and we will all find out his number together. So with that, I will leave.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Have a good one. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some of your guys' comments here tonight. I do appreciate every single one of you sticking around tonight. I mean, obviously, we all know that Andy provides like some incredible articles for the Orioles and covers a lot of things for our team here. So it was really cool to kind of get him on and pick his brain for some of the stuff. But holy crap, 179 comments to get through here. So let's get to some of this stuff. I appreciate all you guys. I mean, there's 2,289 of you right now. So I mean, holy. So yeah, let's get back in here. First one, they should bring back Dominguez. Another addition to the bullpen I would like is Weaver. Talking sports, I'm 1,000% with that. I mean, I think the split finger from Dominguez would fare very well for this team. And Luke Weaver obviously would be a dominating guy in the 8th inning here. So I think that would be pretty awesome. Would love my thoughts sending O'Neill and a lower prospect for JoJo Romero for pen help. Hey, look, if somebody wants to take on Tyler O'Neill's contract, hey, I'm all ears. I do think he's going to have a bounce back season. But at this point, like you just heard from Andy talk about, there's so many guys. Like, how many at-bats are there for all of these guys? So somebody's definitely going to get moved. Tyler O'Neill could be one of them, but we'll see. Does this mean the Birds are out on Tucker? I don't know. I don't know, James. Mike's being aggressive right now. And he's got a different mentality right now. I've heard they're still in on Tucker. But listen, is it going to be a long shot? Probably, because the contract might not fit what we want to do. But listen, when you start getting guys like Pete Alonso here, this kind of stuff starts to get a little bit easier. Excuse me. And guys want to come to play here. So that could be something that goes there too. How long do you think it takes to get a deal done for Mayo for starting pitchers? That could go quick, to be completely honest with you. That could go quick. It could be tonight, it could be tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, the trades happen fast compared to free agency. So the only bad part of this is the time of the year where everything slows down, and that's what sucks. Things just slow down incredibly after the meetings, and it's just like a boring time. Like, I wish baseball had like a deadline. Like, you got to sign all your free agents by January 1st. Like, that'd be cool. It really wouldn't be, but as a fan, it would be cool. Been so awesome to see all these reactions of Met fans, and my friend is a Met fan. Listen, how they feel right now is how we all felt yesterday with Kyle Tucker. I mean, we immediately went from like really, really excited to like, oh crap, here we go again. Right. And now Mets fans they spent a lot of money, and now they're trying to not spend money and maybe go in a different direction. Like, it's confusing to them. And they don't like it, right? Because they got to deal with Yankees fans. But we know how that feels, and it does suck. I can see Orioles signing Tucker and having Mayo headline for Cabrera or Kowser Beavers for a headline for Gore. I don't think you're wrong there, Alston, at all. Actually, not at all. Is Tucker still in play? I think maybe. Bring me Tucker, Valdez, and Peralta. Best team in the AL right there, I think so. I mean, you're already looking at probably the best offensive lineup right there. And Valdez is pretty good. Peralta is pretty good. And, Trevor Rogers is pretty good. Kyle Bradish is pretty good. D. Kramer's pretty decent. I mean, you're looking at a damn good team right there. Yeah. What an intro. I hope you guys like that. I appreciate it. Again, if you're new here, like the live here, sub to the channel. We're putting out a lot of content. We're one of the top Orioles content creators. I'm new. Well, not really new. I've been around a year and a half, but we're growing. So come along for the movement. Glad to have you. Where did I get this intro? I actually made it through some AI stuff. Made it through some AI stuff. It was cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nick says, we did things. Oh, we did them. All right. They were good. It was gas. Ray John Sub says Kyle Tucker and Valdez next. Man, wouldn't that be? At that point, if you land Kyle Tucker and Framber or Ranger or something like that, like, is it easy to say that the Orioles won the offseason already if you land those three? Like, just Taylor Ward, Pete Alonso, Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, and Ryan Helsley, like, you would have to say the Orioles won the offseason, right? Like, no matter what anybody else did, right? Am I crazy for thinking that? Because it's definitely what I think. I can tell you that right now. You said last night, pretty much what they did, copy and paste the Schwarber offer to Pete. I will say that they met with Pete right after they met with Kyle on Monday. And that may have already been discussed. Like, hey, if we don't get this done, like this is something that we want from you. I will say from what I've heard, Boston tried a match. Boston did go the 5 years. I think they were at 150 instead. But regardless, like Pete and Boris picked Baltimore, picked them. They could have easily went to Boston, either for less money or asked them to go higher. They didn't. They picked Baltimore. It's a big deal, especially coming from Scott Boras. It's a big deal, knowing that he has half our freaking roster is his guys. So could extensions maybe come early? The relationship obviously has gotten better from the front office and him. Some of his other free agents. It's a big deal all around. Now other agents know, like, hey, Baltimore's serious. Like, they went after it for Kyle Tucker. They went after it for Corbin Burns. They landed Pete Alonso. Like, so hey, maybe when they call, it's getting a little more serious now. Maybe they're not the leverage team anymore. This opens a lot of doors more than just putting a big power bat in the lineup, it's fantastic, man. Fantastic. With Alonso in the fold, is the smarter strategy to get a trade done and then go after a free agent pitcher? I think so. Trade first and then go after the free agent, but I mean, either or. I've been hoping for this move all week. It's the best fit for the club. We need more righty bats. I felt the same way. I made a YouTube video. I don't know if anybody here has seen it all. I did make the video. I thought Pete fit the team the best, personally as well. But it's done now. We're ready to rock and roll. Pete would have hit more home runs this year if he played in Camden Yards versus City Field. I believe you're right. He hit 38 when I looked at it. Let's look it up again. I remember looking at it, and it was significant. It wasn't like one or two more. It was a good bit. So he hit 38 this year. If he would have played in Camden Yards all year, he hit it 45. So that's awesome in its own right. And then kind of looking around, like what else he would have did at the AL East. He would only hit 37 in Boston, so I guess he hit a couple line drives. Just 36 in Yankee Stadium and just 37 in Tampa. So, and then 44 in Toronto. So maybe we get a new Ryan Mountcastle where Pete Alonso becomes Toronto's daddy or something like that. Wouldn't that be fun? Trade Mountcastle to the Mets for Dave Robertson. That would be fine. I'd love that. When do I think another Orioles deal goes down? It's tough to tell this time of the year because it does start to get a little slow. Guys start to kind of go home with their families and stuff like that. But we could maybe see another deal before Christmas. Postseason stats too, 100%. Pete's going to elevate this team far beyond what I think people realize. The Orioles got played at the winter meetings. Didn't have a headline last night. They did. They got played by Kyle Schwarber. They went and landed their guy this time. So it's a great rebound, in my opinion, to come back. And could they have hung their head and sulked a little bit after losing out on Schwarber because they pushed all their chips in for him? Yeah, it'd have been really easy to do that. But you know what? They didn't. They stayed out. They stayed aggressive. They put the full court press on Pete Alonso, and it worked. So kudos to them. Kudos to Mike. Kudos to everybody in the front office. Kudos to Craig. Kudos to Donnie Ecker. Everybody who made this happen. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. If he struggles, I compared this to the Mets signing Jason Worth all those years. They overpaid for him, but the door opened for a lot of other guys coming here afterwards for a decade of success that ended in a World Series. 1,000%. Like I said, we had to finally do it. We had to finally do it just to show people that you're ready. And now at this point, also an extension would also kind of mount on top of this. You know what I mean? So you get an extension done. Now it's like, okay, they really are investing in their future a little bit. You go ahead and sign another starting pitcher to a long-term deal. Like, you're starting to follow that footprint. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, guys. Let's see. What pitchers are the O's going for? A lot of them. I'll show you the rumor list right there. That's everything that I've heard. That's their. I don't think they're leaving no stone unturned. Let's put it that way. No stone unturned. They're calling and talking and wheeling and dealing and anything that they can to make this team better, and it's a good position to be in. Good position to be in. Let's see here. Now go sign Valdez, King, Suarez, and trade for Gore, Cabrera, and Peralta. It's a lot of pitching right there. At Bichette, have him lead off. I would love Bo Bichette. Outside of Alonso, I think Bo Bichette was my second favorite free agent. Like, I'll flat out say that. Over Kyle Tucker, over Kyle Schwarber, I don't care. Over Cody Bellinger. Like, Bo Bichette just hits. And he just hits. And he top of the lineup guy, hits a runners from scoring position, hits with 2 outs. It didn't matter. Like, I love Bo Bichette. A big time dude. Love to have him. Would love to have him. As long as Rutschman's in the top 5 anymore, I'll be okay. I hear you on that one. Do I think Elias will sign another bat, or we focus on starting pitching? I do think they're going to bring in another bat. Whether that's Kyle Tucker or not, I'm not sure. But I do think we get another bat. If we stay healthy, where's their weak spot in this lineup? I would probably say 8 and 9 right now until you are proven otherwise. I like Hauser and Holiday as players, and I think they're going to grow into and be better players. But right now, they have to prove it. So right now, if there's a weak spot in the lineup, I would say it's Hauser and Holiday. And if they're probably hitting 8 and 9, then most teams' weak spot are their 8 and 9. So you're fine. Now, if Jackson takes that next step and he's better than he was last year, I don't think the 9 spot is no longer a weak spot. I think then it's become a viable option. Now, it's not a great option, but it's a viable option. But depends on the step that he takes. Same with Hauser. Now, if both of them take big strides with the new hitting coaches, I mean, yeah, you're looking at a freaking scary lineup, man. Scary freaking lineup. Not expecting any more big name bats, but if you probably Bichette or Tucker away from Toronto and add them to the O's, I'm pretty sure we'll all be dancing in the street if that happened. We will all be down at Camden Yards just dancing in the street. Sign Tucker and you can have Gunny, Westy, Tucker, Pete, Beavers, Ward, Basayo, Adley, Holiday. That's nasty sounding, isn't it? Nasty. Would I rather have Valdez, Sanchez, or Suarez? I don't know. I don't know right now. Maybe Gore? I don't know. Valdez gets deep into games. Suarez is still pretty good. He's got great off-speed stuff. Sanchez is good. Michael King is actually pretty good if you keep him healthy. There's a lot of guys to like. Adam says, what about Edward Cabrera? Edward's fine. I would prefer probably Mackenzie Gore over Edward, but I'm not going to say no to Edward. You know, like if they signed a top-end free agent arm and Edward Cabrera, I'd still be fine with that. I just prefer Mackenzie Gore. You could see them getting 2 starters and 2 bullpen arms. That'd be fun. Mike is a Met fan, says, guys, I'm sorry. Alonso's wheels started coming off this year. I saw it all year as a Mets fan. Stumbling around in the field, his decline has begun. He'll hit in 26, but after that, yikes. Mike, you know this is probably maybe his second best career of his year in 25, so I don't think you saw it all year as a Mets fan. I'm going to call BS on that because it's literally statistically his second best year of his career, and is one of the best years of his career with runners in scoring position. So I'm going to call BS on that one a little bit. Let's see. Bring Dominguez back, sign Taylor and Tyler Rogers. They're both getting interest today from what I heard from the Giants, but I do that. Austin says, with all due respect, you don't know ball. We also need a utility man. I think they're going to start with Jeremiah Jackson. I wouldn't be shocked to maybe also see Luis Vasquez get back on the 40-man and take some of that role too, because he plays infield, outfield, and he does it all pretty well. I've been talking for a while. Sign Amai. So Amai or Amai or whatever it is would be fantastic. I would love to have that guy. That'd be really fun. Because now if you sign a top end arm, like now you're not putting him in a pressure situation to be a top 1 or 2. He'd be really fun to have. Pete just needs to change the scenery. Mets clubhouse was a disaster. I've heard some stories. I have heard some stories. Who gets in trouble first calling him Big Meat Pete? I say Gunner. I say Cowser. Oh, you know it's Cowser. Let's see. You don't go from below average but tolerable to god awful in the field in 1 year and then out nobody start to break down. He's really old, 31. He can DH. It's not a big deal. They signed him to hit for a long time here. Samuel Basallo plays first base. I don't think they care if he plays first base, to be honest with you. Let's see. Bring Sir Anthony home. I like Sir Anthony. Let's see. I'm trying to stroll through all these guys. I apologize. Put Bichette at second, Holiday center field, and use Cowser trade packages. I like what Andy said about C.J. Abrams. Like, I wonder if you could pry Abrams. I know he's on the block. If you could pry Abrams and Gore away and then put Abrams in center field, like, shoo. And he's fast, too. Like, and he's got pop. He's got a lot of pop. That would be fun. You're adding even more power to center field. Holy crap. What minor league guys do I see making an impact in 26? I think Levi Wells. Levi Wells and Michael Fourette, Trey Gibson. One of those three guys is going to come up in the bullpen and just shove, I think. I think maybe all three of them even get a chance, too, but one of them are really going to shove. Trying to roll through all these comments. You guys we're up to 229 now. I'm reading a bunch of them. I can't even catch up. Rick says, I'm calling it now. Gunner hits 35 bombs this year, hits 280. Hey, again, we'll be dancing in the street, Rick. We'll be dancing in the street. Might have a couple beers in our hand, but that's all right. Maya Bernez has a ton of tools in the shed with this lineup options. 1,000%. 1,000%. My man, Sean, thank you so much for becoming a member, brother. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Tier 2 member at that, too. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Any chance to keep Mayo while trading for a good starting pitcher? There's always a chance, but like, do you want a guy young enough like Kobe Mayo to kind of sit and not play every day? It's going to be hard to find at bats. It's going to be hard to find at bats. Hyde wishes he could platoon Pete Basallo. I probably just plucked a nerve just reading that. 140 and 22 seem reasonable. Brendan, I think so. Right? Let's reach for the stars. Now, listen, this team should have playoff aspirations and winning a playoff series aspirations, even just with Pete, right? You got to still sign some pitching and whatnot. You got to get to where you were supposed to be last year, and then some this year. So you got the pressure's still on, but hopefully not too much. Over 1,600 concurrent viewers, man, you guys are on fire, on freaking fire. So I agree with Dean or Andy. Dean has those stretches where he'll go 4 or 5 stars, 6+ innings with one run. One of these years, he's gonna have a full year of that. I'd love it. Dean's biggest problem is freaking April. Like, he comes out and he sucks to start the season in April. And then all of a sudden May hits and it's a different Dean again. And then Dean is like pretty solid the whole rest of the year, but he dug himself in such a hole in April that the numbers never really kind of even out to where he's kind of pitched the last 2, 3, 4 months. And if they can get him to kind of start a little earlier this year, I think Dino, like he said, might be under a sub-4 ERA this year. You got to get him. You got to get his April figured out. Trades and money don't matter if you win a title, especially in Baltimore. It's been so long, right? 43 years, man. Been a long time. Been a long time. Why not deal Jackson Holiday a deal from Marte and have Marte play second, improve the offense and the defense? I think a lot of people, especially in the front office, view Holiday as becoming a really good player over time. Now, with Marte being 32, like how much longer are you getting Marte at a solid defense to where, and then you got to move him, right? But then now that you got Pete for 5, like you can't move him to first, and you probably don't want to move him over to, DH. So Marte, I don't know if really makes sense, but especially to give up Jackson Holiday for it. I mean, who said I was wearing any? I don't even know what color I'm wearing myself. Just black. It looks like I'm kind of a loser. Let's see. Trade for Pages and put him in center field. I've thought about that a couple times, but I don't know if LA really gets rid of him. He kind of came on in the second half last year. I think Beavers needs to be on this team no matter what else we do in the offseason. He has good bat-to-ball skills. We just need him on this team. I don't think you're wrong with that, Andrew. I don't think you're wrong at all. Trade Mountcastle to the Mets just for fun. I hear they need a first baseman. Dave Peterson wouldn't be bad. My man over here trolling Mets fans now. If you sign Tucker, you keep him away from Toronto. Payroll will be at $125 million. Still gives you room to add Tucker, particularly if you need to trade for 2 pitchers instead of just 1. Right. That's one thing. If you did decide to sign Tucker, you could just trade for 2 pitchers and not have to sign 1. Now you run into the fact that you have multiple guys at one time hitting free agency within the next 2 or 3 years. But I mean, if you got Kyle Tucker out of it and you won, who cares? Right? You figure it out later. But Mike said he'll do things to figure it out later. But we'll see. We'll see. Sir Anthony isn't going to be worth whatever he gets. Good riddance. I don't know about that. I mean, that splitter was pretty good. Now, I was really shocked to see Toronto really didn't throw it in the second half. I think he only threw it 77 times after he left here, which wasn't enough. I mean, it was a pretty darn good pitch. And he still throws fairly good. Now, you don't have to use him as in high leverages anymore. You got Kittredge. You know, you could have him in the 6th or 7th and Kittredge in the 8th, or if you bring in a Luke Weaver, right? Just more options that you have. I would take Sir Anthony Dominguez over Rico Garcia, right? That's just me. Like there's upgradable portions in that bullpen, and Sir Anthony's better than some of them. So I wouldn't say like don't bring him back. It just depends on like don't bring him back to be the 8th inning guy, but like 7th inning guy, yeah, he's a good spot for him. The Tucker is a move that allows you to compete for a World Series depending on what starters you add. 100%. And it allows you to compete for a World Series right now, right? We know how strong the AL East is. If you want to go right now, Tucker's the guy. If they sign Tucker too, that's overkill. Let the vets help this stack young lineup. Bring in a starter or 2, help a couple bullpen arms. Don't trade Beavers. I'm with that, Dan. Anywho, got to go lurk. It's 3 a.m. for me. I appreciate it, Nick. I appreciate it, buddy. Some of these comments I can't even put on the screen here. You think the offseason's already a W? I'm good with that. No way they signed Tucker? I'm going to tell you right now, don't say no way. It seems like a no way, but just don't say no way just yet. Just yet. Tyler Wells needs to be in the bullpen. I think he's going to be. Tucker, Marte, Framber, go get them all. Hey, like I said, if you want to win, put Booby in, right? Offseason is a massive W already, but the Polar Bear getting Helsley for the closer role was big also. Now focus on the rotation, says Steve G. I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. Grabbing Tucker as well, he is asking for a lot. He is, but I think it was blown up of what he's actually asking for. Now, you got to remember, he's not a Scott Boras client. He's an Excel Sports client. He's got the same agent as Kyle Schwarber. I don't think he's going to press for 10 years like people assume. You never know. I think an option could be available for Kyle Tucker. That's all I'll say. This offseason has been crescending, building up and up. Started small with Tavares, and then grew to Kittredge, and then Ward, and then Helsley, now Alonso. Could still grow. That's true. It could still grow. Don't sell Tavares short for center field. I don't think people do. I think they just sell his bat short. Another deal has to happen. Can't keep Mayo and Mountcastle with Pete on the board. I agree. Especially since they're all right-handed at this point. Trades take time to develop. They do. I still hearing that Tucker wants to come to Baltimore? It's still there. Conversations are still there. There's another, I won't get too deep into it, but I'll spill a little bit of beans. There is another highly, highly prominent player in this league that has won and also requested it to come to Baltimore if it was available. I can't tell you who, but just know that this is one of the better players in the league, and had his agent call and say, I like Baltimore. I like what they're doing. I'll waive my no trade clause to go to Baltimore. So what they are doing is being noticed around the league, which is all we could ask for, right? It's all we could ask for. I think the best thing about the O's finally dropping money is the free agent is very deep, lots of bats, good arms to help. The trade market is lush too, a great time to actually lift off. That's a good way to look at it, Rock. That's a good way to look at it. What do you like about Alonso? He posts every game. Yeah, dude, he's a gamer, man. He loves it. Oh, Cubs infielder Nico Horner pops up in trade conversations. Interesting. I'd go after Michael Kopech for the pen. See, this guy and I, we think alike here. I'm a big Michael Kopech guy. He was a guy that I thought when you finally got him out of Chicago, he was going to be freaking good. All of a sudden, he goes to L.A., and he's throwing the absolute crap out of the ball. Yes, he did get hurt. Again, if you do keep him healthy, he can still throw the crap out. I actually made a video that I thought Kopech was good enough to be compared with Mason Miller. This was one of the first videos that I did on this channel, but we compared his stuff, the slider, the fastball, the movement. Him and Mason Miller matched up really well. It's just, I don't think Chicago knew what they were doing with him. And I started looking at it like, I have to go back and really look at the video, but like Chicago, when he was there, they were throwing the fastball like 71% of the time. Like the freaking guys knew it was coming. Michael Kopech's good, man. Like you said, dude, you just got to keep him healthy. Got to keep him healthy. He's going to help another team this year, whether it might be the Dodgers again. I don't know. But he's going to help somebody pretty well this year. Is it more likely that the first pitcher they get is a Boris client? I don't remember how many guys they have, to be honest with you. I don't remember. Now we have polar bear, a cow, and a beaver. I don't think we all thought about that, did we? Where'd you hear that Tucker wants to come to Baltimore? Me. I started that rumor. I started that rumor. Paja's got himself banned from playing MLB The Show. Did he really? Was he cheating or something? That's funny. I can't wait to see what starters the O's get. I personally want Suarez and Peralta, and then you can go, dude, Peralta's good. I was really looking into Peralta today. He's freaking good, man. We all thought Alonso was a no way like 48 hours ago. Never say never. Go get Tucker. Exactly. That's all I'm going to say is don't close the door on Kyle Tucker. Anything could happen right now. Anything could happen. Alonso still has to pass the physical, right? No. So what they did when they reported that Pete Alonso was on his way driving down, he's already hammered things out with the Orioles and Red Sox. When you get to that point, they were there today doing the physicals and stuff like that with Boris, closing it out. They had some coaches fly down and talk and met with him. So they'll probably announce it officially, once the league approves it and all that crap. It should be tomorrow probably. But I haven't heard that he needs to pass the physical at least. So I'm assuming that it got done today. I'll say that. Don't take that with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. I mean, don't quote me that it's already been done. I think it's already been done. Speaking of physicals, my man Brooks. Aaron Judge to Baltimore per Pig Town Nerd Affair? No, not yet. Nope. He ain't going nowhere. Anthony Volpe's a call. They'd hang up on Anthony Volpe, let's be honest with ourselves. We freaking did it, boys. We did it. We freaking did it. there's no point in talking too much about it yet because it's just a phone call. If it heats up, you already know I'm going to talk about it. So right now, we'll just leave it as a phone call. But just pay attention to the Twitter. I mean, if I start posting some random really good player stats and I'm like, man, this guy could really fit in our lineup, that's who I'm talking about. Just know. Now, some of you guys are still here on Twitter. Most of the things that I post are hints. When I find out about something, I do post hints. Now, when the regular season gets started, I won't post hints anymore. I'm just a stat nerd. I like looking up stupid stats. So if you're into that kind of thing, follow me on Twitter. But I do post small, dumb hints on Twitter all the time about stupid things. So there's that. Pete Alonso is already the fourth best Orioles first baseman of all time behind Eddie, Raffi, and Boog. Think so? I guess. I mean, yeah. You just got to perform, right? A rookie Kowser's better than Kyle Tucker. Machado is the guy you didn't want to mention. Who'd want to return? No, not Machado. Nah, he wasn't the guy. Is Beavers more likely to go than Mayo? I think Mayo probably has the most value, but it wouldn't shock me to see Beavers maybe have a little bit more value. Beavers is a great player. He's a great player. Just having guys say, I want to come to Baltimore is a huge breath of fresh air. Exactly. We haven't had it in years. Years. I say, what, maybe since like 2013, 2014, when they started collecting like Nelson Cruz and Trumbo and guys like that. And, you had J.J. Hardy on that team. Like, that was a team right there. That was a team. Brent Rooker? No, not Brent, but that'd be fun. I love Brent Rooker. He's a good dude. He's a funny follow on Twitter too. Him and Vinny Pasquantino, those two going at it all the time. They're funny, man. If you guys don't have Twitter, you absolutely have to go follow Brent Rooker and Vinny Pasquantino. They're funny. Let's play 21 questions of who the players. I will, trust me, when the time comes, I will tell you. Right now, it's just a conversation. Do I think the Tigers will trade Scooball? I think the Tigers should be kicked out of the league if they do, right? You're trying to be a competitive baseball team, right? You started winning again. You were down in the dumps for a long time. Why would you do that for your fans? I think it's bullcrap. Nobody pays attention to right now, right? Everybody wants to pay attention to what happens next year. We're not going to be able to sign this guy. Let's get what we can to help us next year. Who gives a crap about next year, right? Every team in baseball should be trying to win right now, outside of maybe the freaking Rockies, right? Hopefully they get to that point too. Like, it's good for baseball for the Detroit to be like, oh, we can't sign him. Let's try to get some prospects and maybe try to compete in another year or two. No, that's malarkey. That's stupid. You got the best pitcher in the game, right? You try to build around that, and you try to go win right now. They should be trying to sign Alex Bregman. They should be trying to sign Kyle Tucker and go for it for a year. Tell those guys, I'll give you 1 for 75 or something stupid. If you don't think you got the money for Scooball, go in now. Try to win this year with him. I hate that, man. I hate that. Like, look, I love the fact that Corbin Burns was here, but Milwaukee was stupid. And they're stupid for trying to trade Peralta. You should be trying to go after it. I know the Dodgers are a freaking super team, and it's hard to beat them, but you can't just always look at the future. Corbin Burns would have helped that team. Freddie Peralta is going to help that team this year. Why do you want to trade him? Now, the Nationals wanting to trade Gore, that's a completely different story. The Marlins wanting to trade Cabrera, different story, right? These are teams that have some pretty decent young guys that just aren't ready to compete just yet, and they could get a couple more pieces to kind of put them in position for the future. That's different. But Detroit, a team that went on a good run in 24, played pretty competitive baseball in 25, why would you do that? That pisses me off, honestly. Like, take a shot, man. If you don't sign the guy, whatever. You don't need a bunch of prospects that aren't making the freaking big leagues anyway. You might get one. Come on. I hate that stuff. Gets me fired up. Sorry. That stuff gets me fired up. You live in the Detroit area now. I feel so bad for the Tigers fan base that they trade Scoop. It's stupid. It's really stupid. And they should stop going to games, right? Because the teams, you're throwing in the towel in this year. Why would Jack Flaherty want to pitch any better? Why would Casey Mize want to re-sign next year? Like, It's just a bad look all around. I just want to start the most insane rumors. Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens has probably only been to Baltimore like one time. It's probably because he got lost on 95. He ain't coming down here. All right. Adding Alonso to potentially Amaya would put more eyeballs here internationally on the Orioles. It definitely would. Definitely would. I'm going to hop off here at 10:20. I got to bed really late last night. But damn, 2,900 of you right now. 2,900. It's incredible. We got 150 or 140 watching on YouTube right now. 64 likes. I appreciate every one of you guys. I really do. I appreciate every single one of you. We had a great conversation tonight with Andy Kostka of the Baltimore Banner. If you're coming in kind of late, you rewatch the show or whatnot. We had a banger intro too. So if you want to go back and watch the intro to this place, we had a customized song for Pete Alonso. We had an AI polar bear come on. Listen, we're doing big things around here. So if you're new, drop a sub button, come and join, hang out with us. We do these. I typically only do it once a week, but Christ, the meetings have been fun. So this is the third straight day. We've been getting a lot accomplished here. So the buzz it's flying around Birdland right now. I love it. We deserve this. I hope to see a lot of you guys out at the yard this year. We're going to keep this rolling, and we're going to keep pumping out the content. And you already know the next thing happens, we're going to be right on here talking about it. So I'll catch you guys later. I hope you all have a great night, and go O's, and hopefully maybe something pops tomorrow trade wise. So y'all have a great night. Peace.